Okay, so this is a video I'm gonna make about like the discourse within the American public and the inherent problems within it, and why a person like me might not always be the nicest fucking person online. And it's not because I hate people or I think I'm better. I kind of look. This. We all have personal systems of judgment, evaluation, comprehension, and understanding. This is true. My major point, whenever I really try to go in on a person, is to put their system of thought and evaluation against mine. Because at the end of the day, who I am is a predication off of who I am. I mean, like, and people like MLK and Einstein, who's over there, and even Jesus and Tupac, like, and even like the ideas of like Superman and Batman. Like, who I am is a creation of a ton of other people's ideas, comprehensions, and beliefs. Like, if it wasn't for Einstein, I guarantee I would not be the person I am today. Like there is no thought that I have that in not some form or fashion is a product and a creation of Einstein himself. Like, Einstein's system of philosophy informed me as much or maybe even more than Jesus' system of philosophy. I was studying Jesus like before I was studying Einstein. Major point. What I'm trying to say is people have lost their ability to identify themselves as individuals. And online, this became super, super problematic because people no longer identify themselves with their internal reality. People instead identify themselves with particular groups or classifications as forms and functions of justifications of everything they do. For instance, right-wing conservatives. They don't care about the Bible. They don't care about the Torah. But because of the fact there is a social identity tied to and created through being associated and affiliated with Christianity or whatever right-wing ideology you want, people begin to gain their self-identity, their internal system of identity, through their affiliation with particular groups. And the problem with this is it's hard to talk to people who are not actually talking as people. There are tons of people, and maybe it's just because I'm bad. I'm not a very patient person, so that could be potentially a very big character flaw for me. I have character flaws. I'm not above them. You know what I mean? And I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Like, one of the things is I try to always be honest about and truthful about is when I'm wrong. Like, okay, maybe I'm wrong here because if I'm gonna go hard on somebody, you know what I mean? If I'm go really hard on somebody and somebody comes back at me and it hits me just like I have to take it. You know what I mean? I expect the same thing I would expect from anybody else. So if I'm hard on somebody online, I expect the same thing for myself. Or I expect me to do the same thing for myself. And it's because, like, God, man, life is freaking hard. For a lot of people, though. For honestly a lot of people. Like, and that's actually where my comprehension is generally centered and focused. Kids in Flint, Michigan still don't have clean drinking water. That's not a general concern of the Democratic voters. New York or Newport or whatever fucking, Cory Booker was the mayor of, they're facing a lead crisis right now. Generally not a concern of most Democratic voters. Black people in prison getting raped. Not generally a concern of Democratic voters. The fact that right now Donald Trump is stopping food from getting to Venezuelan people, including Venezuelan children, not an issue for Democratic voters or supporters. These are serious forms of apathy that are inherently destructive to our democracy as a whole. And so, because of the fact that I'm dealing with a whole bunch of people who, instead of identifying as individuals, identify with a party of certain political affiliation, I am dealing with people who don't recognize themselves as selves, okay? So Einstein talked about his inner and outer life, his inner and outer self, because of the fact we have two functional forms of existence. We have the external world, which we deal with and engage with, and we have the internal world, which we deal with and engage with. This internal system of evaluation and capacity and understanding is our experiences, our understandings, our predilections, our beliefs. And the more you understand about that system, the more you engage with that system through imagination, through questioning yourself, the richer your life becomes. It vastly becomes richer. And the things you can do with it are freaking amazing. I mean, it was Shakespeare was a king of this. Like, Shakespeare was a genius of geniuses because he analyzed humanity to its basic format and then reconstructed freaking poems and freaking plays from the information that he gained through the analysis of himself and humanity. Like, that's why Shakespeare is gangster as fuck. But because our system has been so fixated and focused on the capitalistic comprehension of external value and materialistic, achievements, our society as a whole has lost the general capacity to really understand themselves as self. You know what I mean? And so what has happened is you have a ton of people, a lot of people, like it's a just depressing number of people who now use as a personal form of identification, internal form of identification, their affiliation with a particular group, like Democrat. You know what I mean? I'm a Democratic voter. I'm a Democrat and I'm a good person because I'm a Democrat. Like, what they do, the Democrats are all good because I'm good, and so all Democrats are good. It's circular reasoning. Same thing with Christianity. Right-wing Christianity. It's a nut job. It's a nutcase of a freaking system of philosophy. Jesus said, help the poor, sick, the hungry. Jesus literally said, I am the least among you. I'm the refugee. In the Bible, parable of the sheep and the goats, Jesus said, I am literally the refugee. You want to look for the physical manifestation of Jesus, look at the refugee. And Christians think that locking up children and murdering them, or having, a handful of children die because you locked them in a cage is perfectly fine because they came here illegally. When Jesus said, I am that child. They don't have any affiliation with the philosophy, the comprehension, or the understanding of anything Jesus taught. They care nothing about the message nor morality of Jesus. What they care about is their internal system of affiliation, which is, I'm a Christian, that means I'm inherently better than you, and because I'm inherently better than you, I can do whatever I want to you. It's the Christian caste system, and it is a holdover from what I like to call or refer to as slave owner Christianity. It is what Christianity was used and defined as a justification for not only racism but slavery. This idea, this comprehension, continuing into the modern age in forms of evolution. You know what I mean? Einstein said that racism was the white people's disease. He's not wrong. But like a disease, it changes and evolves, and people become pacified in a lot of ways. And it's a huge problem. And it's a huge problem with apathy. And it's a huge problem because of the fact that we now as a society are losing the capacity to talk about concepts in relation to truth. And what I mean, I just say shit. Maybe I need to put more pauses in. Truth, capital T, truth. 2 + 2 = 4. Truth is the basis of every. I think is the most important element in the entire human existence. Truth. Now, even if it's personal truth, but personal truth that is honestly true, not personal opinion used as a validation or justification, but personal truth. To analyze and look at something objectively from a position of analysis. I think it is one of the most inherent and most important elements of the human development and human cognition. The problem we have now is that very concept is being eroded and degraded because people more and more and more only care about one thing, and that is being right. Okay, right. So think of it like this. If you are a truth-oriented person, let's say you're 60% truth, 40% being right. If you're wrong, if you're honestly wrong, it might hurt you. I know, particularly for me, it hurts when I'm wrong because I'm wrong at times. You know what I mean? But I'm also, I'm at times like I'm mean and I can be very vicious. Like I don't care. If I think something is wrong, I'm not going to act like it's moral or good or decent. But if I'm wrong about what I'm saying, I am only going to harm myself by ignoring the facts of the fact that I'm wrong. I am going to subjugate myself to a limited system of comprehension and understanding because of the fact I don't have the personal strength to evaluate the actions or the predications or the comprehensions that allowed me to conclude something inaccurate. And so when I'm wrong, even if I'm wrong, even if I'm like trying to be like, man, screw you, you're an idiot, it's happened a few times. And those things are, when they bring up something accurate, I do change my opinion. I do evaluate myself. It hurts, and I'll be quiet, but it hurts. But I do that because of the fact I care about the truth. I don't care about my social group, and luckily, I guess, I have no social group. You know what I mean? In general sense, I don't have a group of people. Like, I don't identify as a Democrat. I don't identify as a lot of things. And in fact, one of the conclusions I came to a while ago is that, like, I was dealing with some crap at a bar, and I was going through a lot of crap at that point in time. But I realized that people who don't actually agree with each other will agree as long as there is an oppositional force in front of them. So people will change what they believe and what they think the second there is a group mentality of, I'm with him, he's with me, screw you. Everything he said is wrong. Everything he said is right. Doesn't matter if it's right, it's wrong. And after recognizing that, I realized, like, well, I really think those people are a bunch of douchebag bitches, but douchebag fucking sacks of shit. So I kind of don't want to ever be like that. So I'm kind of the person who will just disrupt the social agreement I have with people. I'll be like, look, you know what I mean? I'll try to say, like, if I'm in an argument with one person who says something and I'm arguing against that person, he says something truthful and honest, and there's someone next to me that's like, no, that's bullshit. I'll be like, look, he's making a point, but he's still an asshole. You know what I mean? That's the way I'll go about it. It's because I care. I care about we saying that people say honest things, that people understand honestly and comprehend honestly. Because if we don't have a shared comprehension of what truth or facts is, our entire society and form of communication no longer has a fucking base ground to be built on. Meaning simply this: if people don't agree on what the fucking meaning of truth is and objectivity, objective truth, what can we agree upon? And so what I have came to become more and more irritated over is this fucking goddamn idea that at the end of the day, that people, what was I saying? That at the end of the day, that it matters more to be associated with a particular group than it does to be honest. So like a Ben Shapiro, for instance, he is a weak, nasally gladiator for the right. The only thing Ben Shapiro is there to do is to give validation to those who watch him, to make them feel superior, to make them feel better. He doesn't care about the truth. He doesn't care about honesty. He doesn't care about the Torah or Yahweh or the teachings and precepts of Yahweh, because Ben Shapiro entirely goes against the teaching and precepts, even in the Old Testament. And he sure as hell, like, Ben Shapiro is the antithesis of the teachings and moralities of Jesus Christ. But none of that matters, because the fact the truth doesn't matter to these people. It's their association, their affiliation that matters. And this is also true on the Democratic side. People don't care about what Bernie Sanders has done or tried to do. The only thing they care about is they don't like Bernie Sanders because of the fact that Hillary Clinton. It doesn't matter that she was the candidate they chose. It doesn't matter that Bernie Sanders broke his freaking back trying to get her elected. None of that matters. They only care about their affiliation, because their external affiliation, which is Democratic Party, I'm pro-women, is more important than their internal system of identity, because they don't have an internal system of identity. And what we have an influx within our society right now, and this is largely due to the advent of platforms like Facebook and Instagram and even Reddit to a degree, where you can and YouTube, where you can constantly put yourself out there and find a social organization or a social niche that never questions anything you do. People have became there's this new phenomenon where a person's internal identity is an external affiliation, meaning that a person will literally think I am a good person because I'm a Democrat. Just that is it. Every Democrat is a good person because I'm a good person and good people are Democrats. That is their entire affiliation. And to break through that mentality is near impossible. So what do? I'm very hostile at times because of the fact I hear what people are saying. And what they are saying is not what they are saying. It's something they've heard. It's something they've understood through their group association. And so what they're really doing is saying, I'm a part of this group. My group is right. I have good people within my group. So because I have good people within my group, no matter what is said, no matter what is done, I am right because of the fact that means justify the ends. It doesn't matter. Whatever you say, it doesn't matter. Whatever opinion you have, it does not matter. And this is vastly true for conservatives also. Like, it's vastly more true for conservatives, honestly. I mean, I talked to people about the Bible. Like, Jesus literally said, I'm the least among you. So Jesus was saying, I was the black slave. That's what Jesus' philosophy teaches. And yet, they still have a problem with black people. It's because of the fact Christianity is no longer a philosophy or religion where Jesus is an authority to these people. Christianity is a system of authority that is used to justify and validate these people as people. So people affiliate themselves with Christianity, not for any means of actually serving or believing in the teachings of Jesus. People affiliate themselves with Christianity as a form of justification for everything they do. Their internal identity is Christian, but their internal identity has nothing to do with the actual teachings of Jesus. And so what we have now is an influx, a vast influx of this, and the problem that we are dealing, and me especially, am like beginning to notice and really kind of get pissed off at, is people no longer take facts for facts. What they want to do, what they want to understand is comfortability. They want to understand who they are through mechanisms of externalization. And the only thing that they truly care about. God damn it, what was I going to say? They want to understand themselves through external systems of mechanization. All right, give me 2 seconds. Sorry for the long video. It really wasn't planning on being this long, but people try to understand through external systems. Oh, why am I mean? Because people no longer care about the truth. And when a person no longer cares about the truth, when honesty, when truth, when real, sincere arguments, and I've made painstaking arguments, I've done research, I brought evidence again and again and again. And what has always happened is they ignore it. They don't care about it. They will explain it away in a fucking heartbeat because their internal identity is based off one thing: their external association with the group. So when you begin to question, let's say, the Democratic Party, the DNC, the mechanisms internal to themselves is a complete rejection because their own identity has nothing to do with themselves, but everything to do with their affiliation. And at that point, the only system that I have ever found to even make an inch of headway is just straight attack the person for the person. And maybe, just maybe, that this person who is hiding behind this, ideology, like, I'm a conservative Christian, I'm a conservative, like, just hold that hand and be like, but you don't give a shit about children dying in cages. Maybe that might be enough to break through to them. Maybe. And that's a huge maybe, because a lot of people who internalize an external identity created by somebody else to define themselves have lived with that for years. I'm talking years. I'm talking 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, 20, 40 years. People have lived with this identity. So the idea of questioning that is horrific. The only way that I've even seen any capacity to make even an inch of headway with people is to be seriously straightforward and just be like, look, you think you're better than me. Let's strip all this away. Who are you? How do you think? What is your system of analysis? What is your system of observation? What is your system of comprehension? How does it work, and how did you come to it? Because I know every inch of my thinking. I know every inch of my thoughts. I know where my comprehension, my perception, my beliefs come from. So you want to go one-on-one? Let's go one-on-one. You think you're better than me? Let's strip it all down. Who are you? Why do you think what you think? And can you keep up with how I think? The truth is, they can't. I never did that, and for the record, I never did this to feel superior. So I did it. I just wanted to think better. I wanted to understand myself better. I didn't care what other people thought about me. But it's just gotten to the point that people no longer feel comfortable even analyzing themselves. And more so than that, they become hostile to anybody who is not inherently agreeing with them and their worldview. And so people become hostile to any information that doesn't inherently validate their own internal system of comprehension. And it's just like, what do you do with a person like that? If we're trying to make a better society, how can you communicate with these people if they're not willing to communicate? If they're not willing to be honest with themselves, okay? In their life, if they cannot be honest with themselves in life, how can you have an honest conversation with that person? And what I've done from that is I've pissed them off, because angry people tend to be honest, even if it's by accident. And so I've tried to learn from these people as much as I can. But the problem is vastly bigger than this. We have a system of apathy that has corrupted so much of the American public that it is sincerely dangerous. We have an oncoming recession, if not a depression, that I've been thinking about and analyzing for months. I can even talk about the elements of this oncoming depression or recession and how it's going to happen, generally speaking. I haven't gotten to the specifics of it or where the point is going to break, but I've been analyzing this. But the problem is that this doesn't matter to a lot of people. What matters is their in-group affiliation versus any out-group affiliation that they come across. And if we can't learn to evaluate ourselves in any honest capacity, humanity is going to be stagnated in a way that is inherently fucking dangerous. And I will say this to end. Putting a person who is in a serious association with corporate influence like a Kamala Harris or Pete Buttigieg or Joe Biden in a position of power when you have a vast democratic movement coming on across the United States would be a death sentence to humanity. A death, I'm not fucking joking here. And people don't seem to understand that when the scientists came out and said we have 12 years, it wasn't a fucking joke. They don't understand that. It's not a joke. And they don't comprehend it's not a joke. Think 10 years ago. Most people are voting, can imagine 10 years ago. That is how long we have to prevent the end of fucking humanity. And people want to put a Pete Buttigieg into fucking office for 8 of those years. 8 of the last 10 years we have to salvage humanity. They want to put a person who does fucking constant fundraisers with Wall Street and whoever other big fundraising people he can get his hands on. That's the person you want in charge of a government when we have 10 years out of 11 years now in a couple months. So 8 years out of those 11 years, oh shit, no, it will be 10 by the time Pete Buttigieg gets in office. 8 years out of 10 years to save humanity, you want to put Pete Buttigieg or Kamala Harris, who stopped people who were supposed to be released from being released because she wanted them to fight fires in California. These are the people you're going to put the entire weight of humanity on. They do not live for themselves. They don't think for themselves. They are a product of their society and their surroundings and their affiliations and associations. There are people who understand themselves through themselves. There's also people who understand themselves through their affiliations. There are leaders and there are followers, and I'll tell you what kind of person is a leader and what kind is a follower by I think most people get it. We need a leader in this time, because if it is literally, we're coming to the end of this. A decade before we're past the point of no return. And people want to be like, oh man, like Pete Buttigieg is great. This is not the fucking truth, and you guys are not paying attention to what's fucking happening, and it's driving me fucking nuts if we're gonna be honest here. All right, so this is why I'm not always fucking nice or not always cool, because I'm just like, you fuckers know what you guys are talking about, because I don't think you fucking get it. I don't think you really get it, and don't put your shit on fucking me, all right? Like, I'm just trying to find a fucking way out for humanity. And I guess a lot of people don't appreciate that, or just don't fucking understand it, and that's fine. And I get it. It's just like, I'm fucking tired also. I'm not happy with this situation. I'm not happy with a lot of shit. But I still do try my fucking best. And I do give a shit. That's why I'm pissed. So, deuces.